Hello, this is Dr. Paz, and I wanted to go over our CEO compensation articles for your comprehensive exam. So here we see our Balsam Song article, another consequence of SFAS 123R, equity compensation to retirement eligible CEOs. And here we know that they expense the entire fair value of the grant date when a retirement eligible employee is allowed, right? And we know from SFAS 123R that it makes equity compensation less attractive to those executives that are approaching retirement. So the results in this particular paper show that younger executives, right, the equity compensation decreases for those executives that are approaching retirement post SFAS 123R. So they have now some varying negotiating power of the employees. So hopefully as you're going through the introduction, you see here stock options and restricted stock that is in previous literature. And then you see here Scant's 2012, which is another article that's pretty predominant now. And the contribution here, the new contribution, is the retirement eligible employees. Here you see the updated FASB pronouncement codification for those. And then as we continue to go through the introduction, you see that compensation expense for certain equity-based awards and pension benefits are being recognized immediately when an employee is retirement eligible. So here we note that this is a natural experiment. And then we have the SEC proxy statement disclosure requirements. And this is another variable that this particular article adds. And then as we go through the literature, we see again Jensen and Meckling 1976 and Holstrom 1979. Those are additional works that are the theoretical constructs of the agency theory that allows us to kind of talk about CEO compensation with equity. And then we have the equity compensation is a solution to the horizon problem. And you see Dechow and Sloan 1991, which is also another kind of seminal work within, or a work that's predominant within CEO compensation. Here, Yermak 1995 is another one. Then we have that equity compensation and accounting expense recognition, right? So the accounting treatment is what affects the usage of equity compensation. So we had previously the intrinsic value method, whereby the value of the stock option was determined on the grant date as the excess of the stock price over the exercise or the stock or the strike price. And then we go into the fair value method, which is the cost associated with the stock options. And then Abudi, Barth, and Kasanik, that's another kind of important work within CEO compensation. Again, you see Scants again. And then we have the case of retirement eligible employees that FAS 123R differentiates like equity grants to retirement eligible executives. So as you kind of go through this article, you see here in the model, this is basically they reduce the use of equity compensation to retirement eligible individuals in response to FAS 123R. And then we have an interaction between the retirement eligibility and the post FAS 123 indicator. So then we also have two dummy variables within this aspect. And then you see here additional variables, right? So we have the SEC release that we talked about earlier. And then basically the natural logarithm of the grant date fair value of the stock options and the shares awarded during the fiscal year as reported by ExecuComp is the dependent variable. So we see that here. We see TDC1 in the ExecuComp, that's the total compensation. And then you have other independent variables here, like the natural log of total assets. And then you have leverage as the ratio of total liabilities and total assets. And leverage captures the agency cost of debt. That's why they're using it. Then you have here the book to market value of assets to proxy for the firm growth opportunities. And then you have return on assets and stock returns as measures of accounting and stock performance. Core and Gann 1999, that model, that's also a pretty predominant piece of manuscript within the CEO compensation. Then here you see the reconciliation of the population to the sample. Here we have some board of director variables as well. And then we have the results, and you see we are using ExecuComp, CompuStat, and CRISP. And then we also have supplemental information from BoardX. And then we also have additional information from the Thomson Institutional. So those are all the data sources. And then it kind of goes through reconciling it. And then you see the R2 here and how they created that. And then as we continue through the data and through all of the tables of data, we'll get to the findings for this particular article. And so here we have the entire sample, and we have a shorter window that was incorporated in their study, and then the years that they dropped. And then as we continue here, you see another kind of subset of the sample here. And here you see only the firm's observations with the expense R&D was in this one, so that's a little different. And then we see the firm types here, and then we have our research question here: equity compensation to retirement eligible employees is incrementally costly for accounting purposes. And as we continue through this particular article, we get to the summary and findings, right? And basically, post-FAS 123R adoption, the firms awarded fewer stock options to retirement eligible executives. And then the alternative sample window, the years directly surround the implementation of FAS 123. So I hope this was helpful in kind of giving you the main thrust of this article and also the main works. Thanks.